Hey guys, I'm Videobob, and this is my 2011 Lexus RX 350, and I want to talk about why I think that these are some of the hottest buys in used cars today. Stay tuned. Okay, viewers of my channel are going to say, Bob, why did you buy this car? You already have a Rolls-Royce Phantom, you got the Ferrari thing over there, you got 25 cars. Why would you buy this soccer mom car? It's true, the Lexuses really are kind of designed for women in mind, and it's based off of the Toyota Highlander. Now, as you know, Toyotas are some of the most reliable cars with the highest resale value of almost any cars. I mean, if you watch any of Scotty Kilmer's videos, he basically drools over these things. And it's one of the most popular SUV crossover cars, I think, on the road. Now, you're not going to find another one like this. They're always silver and champagne gold or some other color. This car has been custom wrapped in red with carbon fiber accents. When I saw this thing, I went nuts for it. You know I would. I mean, they even painted the wheels black with this sparkly black color. I don't know. I went nuts over it, and I thought the carbon fiber was really good. The interior's a little lighter than I would have liked. I would have liked to have a black interior, but thank goodness it's just not the cream tan. At least it's the light gray, but it's very light. But I would have preferred a darker color. But anyway, forget all of that nonsense. Let's talk about why this thing is such a great value. Now listen, I needed a grocery getter. I needed something that I could easily take to the store that had some cool, simple features that when you're going to Costco and you're going to Sam's and you're going shopping, you need to be able to just park, have nobody mess with your car, right? You don't want to go to the store in a Ferrari. You don't want to go to Walmart in a Rolls Royce. You just need to be able to go get your groceries, go to the post office and run errands without a bunch of bunk. And that's what makes this car so great. Women love these cars because they're at just the right height. They don't have to bend way down to get in. They don't have to climb up into them. They're just at chair height. Great for elderly people as well. There's even a little spot under the console that you can put a purse. So women are typically interested in a car like this. It's comfortable, it's quiet, they smell good inside, they ride soft. The controls are really easy to understand and operate. It's a cush car. Personally, I don't think this thing looks bad, especially with this cool wrap on it with the black accents. It's totally my style. Adds a whole new sportiness to it. And the differences between like this being the Lexus versus the Toyota Highlander is really all of the luxury features. You know, you've got leather, you've got wood, just a little bit more intuitive thing, a lot of sound deadening. You know, my daily driver car, which is a Rolls-Royce Phantom, well, I gotta tell you, driving around in this thing, it's just as quiet, it's just as soft, honestly. But let's talk about what makes it such a great value and why I targeted this particular year of car. The car's 11 years old now, as of this recording, being a 2011 in 2022. Cars that are over 10 years old, banks don't want to finance a car over 10 years old with over 100,000 miles. You go into CarMax, Carvana, whatever, they don't want a car this old with over 100,000 miles. Even though we all know that these Toyotas can go for 200,000-300,000 miles, no problem. You'll find Highlanders and these Lexus RX 350s with 250,000 miles and they still want a lot of money for them because they are so reliably well built. The downside to the Lexus versus the Highlander would be higher insurance rates because it's a more valuable vehicle, harder things to repair because there's way more systems in it. But it's pretty minimal. I think I got basic Nevada liability, which is some of the highest insurance in the country here in Las Vegas, and I'm paying, I don't know, 50 or 60 bucks a month for basic liability with uninsured motorist. I don't have it fully covered. I probably might change that and go ahead and get it fully covered. But I figured, you know, with it at 10,000 bucks, you know, I can afford to take a loss on the car if something happened. It wouldn't be the end of the world. And I like to point this out to people because being that this car is now past 10 years old, has 115,000 miles, give or take, the price of this car dropped dramatically. If you had bought this same car a year or two newer with slightly less miles, it really wouldn't be any better. It'd be the same car, give you the same functions, but you would pay 50% more for it. You'd pay $15,000, maybe $20,000 financing the car for the same car. Now, I'm a guy that knows how to work on the car myself, so basic maintenance I could do. But this car has always been dealer maintained. I did a Carfax on it and had always been taking care of at the dealer. So I know that everything on this car is perfectly fine. It runs perfect, it's flawless. I haven't found a single flaw in the entire car. Not a rip in the seat, there's nothing that's broken, there's not a broken button, there's not even a letter rubbed off one of the buttons. I'm telling you, this thing is clean. Now, I'd show you the motor, but there's nothing to look at. There's tons of videos of this car out there because it's one of the most popular SUVs, and it's just all plastic. There's nothing to see, it's just plastic. I've checked for oil leaks, there doesn't seem to be any of those. And now, I'm sure people down in the comments are gonna tell me about their experiences with this car, and I'd love to hear them. So tell me things I should be looking for. But as far as I know right now, I've been driving the car and everything just seems to work perfect. It drives perfect, the alignment is good, it's not making any funny noises. And I'm planning on adding a small hitch to the back for very small trailers. That has a 4,000-pound towing capacity. Now, how much I'm gonna be towing with it, I doubt. But something small, like a little utility trailer, you know, hauling a bike or a lawnmower or something simple, no problem. This thing has plenty of power. I think about 275 horsepower. So, I think if you were looking for a good used car, go for the Toyota or the Honda, but the Toyota seems to be a little bit better. I have another confession to make. I've always been a bigot when it comes to cars. I only wanted to support American cars. And then I bought like the Rolls, which was made in England by a German company. And I never wanted to buy a Japanese or Korean or whatever car. This car is actually assembled in Canada, but of course by a Japanese corporation. I never denied that they were fantastic. That wasn't the issue. It was just that buy American. But I bought this car used. Toyota of Japan never got a penny of my money, and they never will. I bought this from an American, and all of the money that I spend on this car will be right here, buying American oil and American everything else. So I guess I can justify that. But I never denied that these are incredibly reliable cars. That just wasn't the issue. Which brings up something that is gonna ruffle some feathers. I'm sorry in advance for the people I'm going to piss off. But let's talk about this for a second. Now, this of course is if you have the luxury of having $10,000 in cash, which a lot of people do not. But let's say that you do, or that you can come up with that money. I would rather have a 10-year-old Lexus like this than a brand new Kia or Hyundai or Nissan. Like, why on earth would anybody spend $20,000 on a Nissan Altima, on a Kia Soul, on a Hyundai Elantra, or whatever, when you could have the luxury of a Lexus with leather, heated and cooled seats, and this amazing stereo system and all the features of this car? The insurance is going to be a little high, but when you balance out your car payments, interest, and what you're paying for a depreciating pile of shit car versus having something that's already depreciated, and this is something I've tried to teach on my channel to my viewers. Live rich through depreciation. My Rolls-Royce Phantom is a 2006. My Prevost bus was a 1990. Okay, most of my cars are far past their levels of depreciation to the point where they're now going back up in value. I would rather have 25 depreciated cars than one brand new Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever. Give me an 89 Testarossa or whatever that's a, you know, okay, that one doesn't count. But by using depreciation as your friend and using cash as your advantage, you can drive around a wonderfully nice car like this because this is a second generation Lexus. It doesn't look that crazy far off from the third generation and the new one that comes off. You know, I looked at, for instance, buying an old Escalade, but the Escalades are so dated in their design that when you get one that's 10 years old, you can tell it's a 10-year-old hoopty, probably has 26-inch rims on it and speakers in the back. Not what I'm looking for, okay? That's not what I wanted. This thing, if it didn't have the wrap on it, if it was just silver, would blend into a parking lot. You'd never see it. And sometimes that's what you want. I bought that car for this reason. Fortunately, I bought this bright red one, and it sticks out like a baboon's ass. So your argument is going to be, Bob, I got a Nissan Altima, I got a Kia Soul because it was financed to me for a couple $100 a month. It's under warranty. I don't have to worry about it being worked on. I can take it to the dealer if there's a problem. I financed it. I just need something to get to and from work. I don't want to spend a lot of money. Okay, there's an argument for that. Maybe if you were doing a lease, that might make sense. But when you buy a depreciative car that you're going to be nickeled and dimed over 3 to 5 years, and you're going to spend $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 on one of these cars, and then it's not going to be worth maybe anything because it may be completely totaled or falling apart or whatever by the time you get rid of it, you're just going to be losing money. It's real easy for me, being a guy who can come up with some cash, to give out these kind of advices. But let's just say that you're on the skids, you're on the balls of your ass, and you're trying to get things going. You're making minimum wage, you're making 15 bucks an hour. Nobody makes minimum wage. I mean, it just doesn't exist anymore, right? So this is my advice. My advice would be, drive a real piece of crap car, take the bus, whatever, sacrifice for a good year, whatever it takes, and save up $5,000, right? Buy a first generation Toyota something. You could get the first generation one of these with 150,000 miles on it, probably for $4,000 or $5,000. And you're still driving a nice Lexus, and probably everything on it works. And it didn't cost you a lot of money, and it'll continue to run. I mean, how much do you drive? 10,000, 20,000 miles a year, maybe, right? Most people don't drive that much. They just need to get around. And this is one of the same arguments I make for the electric car argument. People that are spending excess of $100,000, $150,000 on electric cars would never buy that much gasoline, just like ever. They would never buy the offset. Like when I look at a Tesla is the build quality of not a good car, maybe a Toyota Camry. So it's a $40,000 car with a $100,000 add-on being electric. And you're going, I'm saving gas. But you're not saving any money. You will never buy $100,000 worth of gas. You're just not gonna in the life of that car. That car will break down and need a $30,000, $40,000 battery long before you'll ever buy $100,000 worth of gas, right? So think about that kind of math. If you were gonna buy a brand new one of these, which probably is well over probably $100,000 now, but this car when it came out was 60 grand, right? Now, considering I paid 10 for it, how long would it take me to spend $50,000 in gas and maintenance for this car? It's just not going to happen. This car will run out of miles and die long before I spend $50,000 on fuel. Even here in Vegas, where gas is $5 a gallon for premium. So some people just don't know how to do simple math. And I don't consider myself rich, okay? I'm not rich. I'm middle class. My house here in Vegas, it's worth $1 million, but guess what? Everybody's house in Vegas is worth $1 million. I have nice cars. I have a Rolex. Am I bragging? Everybody I know seems to have a Rolex. I swear to God, every one of my friends has a Rolex. You can buy them 5, 10 grand, a couple of years ago, and they bought one. So what people consider rich versus having some nice things is a big difference. Because I know a couple of dudes out here that are rich. And let me tell you, they were fucking rich. Like they have jets, right? They have hangars. They are billionaires. Those guys are rich. I just have a couple of bucks. Now, there's some of you out there watching going, Bob, you're rich, okay? I make 15, 20,000 a year. I make burritos and burgers, or I bag groceries. I can barely afford, I could not afford the car you're in now in a year. Okay, you are poverty. And you got to get your stuff together. Now, how do you do that? Listen, that's a video for another time that could go on for days. But the bottom line is, when people say to me, oh, it must be nice, they missed all the times that I had to scrimp and save, eat ramen and mac and cheese, sleep on the floor. I did all of that stuff to save up so that I could have a little bit of an investment money to use to buy something that I can flip. Because I could flip this car now for a profit today after buying it. Because I know I got it cheap, right? And that's really the secret to getting ahead. I tell this to my employees. I go, look, guys, you know, you're making 40, 50,000 a year working for me, right? Scrimp and save. Don't go out and buy Harleys. Don't go out and try to live like I live. Don't go out and buy nice things. Scrimp and save up a little money, get some cash together. Then once you've got some of that, use that to, I'll give you a perfect example. 2 years ago, I did a video on this channel about a Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41 millimeter, the red coral, right? Bought it for my birthday. I paid $7,000 for it from the authorized dealer. This was right before the pandemic. That watch sells for $30,000 now. And I knew it was going to be a great investment when I bought it. I didn't know it was going to be that much, but I knew I was getting a good deal. And I told one of my other employees who loves the color green, I said, you should go down and get the green one. And he's like, I'm not spending $7,000 on a watch. I go, you should do it. If he'd have done it, that watch sells for $40,000 to $50,000 today. Right? I'm not an investment genius. I don't have a bunch of advice for your stocks and your bonds and your this and that. I like to invest in the tangible items. And you've heard Gary Vee and you've heard all of these different people talk about going to the thrift shop or flipping this or flipping that. But it is the easiest way to get out of a hole. If you're somebody who's making poverty wages, $20,000 a year, whatever, if you can just do a couple of small series of flips, you can get out of the hole and work your way up. It took me a good 20 years to get that to where I'm at now. But it does work. Because look, I'm just a 9th grade dropout. I grew up on an Indian reservation. I'm not some genius. But I know buy something cheap, sell it for more, works. And that's the whole point of the video about this car. I see people all the time buying these ridiculous cars. I got in an argument with a very good friend of mine, not an argument, but he was mad at me because he went out and bought a new truck for $85,000. And then he went out and bought another new small car to drive when he doesn't want to drive the big truck for another 30, 40 grand. And I said, you spent $120,000 on 2 vehicles you didn't need to buy. You already had a truck and you already have 2 or 3 other cars you could drive. You were never going to, he goes, but I need to save gas. Dummy, you're spending $100,000 in depreciative vehicles. You'll never spend that much gas. You could drive around in a Hummer getting 5 miles a gallon. You'll never buy $100,000 worth of gas. I don't understand the mentality of these people buying the electric cars and buying these hybrids and all these things. You know, like my wife bought a 2017 Prius Prime, which was a great deal when she got it because that car's worth more than she paid for it now. And I swear to God, the thing gets like 90 miles a gallon and she could drive it basically for free for the first 20 miles because it's a hybrid electric and plug-in, which is fantastic. I got to say it's fantastic. No doubt about it. But when you get, you could buy a older Prius for like 5 or 10 grand, right? Okay, and she paid like 30 whatever grand for that car. I'm like, honey, buddy, you'll never spend $20,000 in gas. You only got to drive 5 miles. But of course, it's a luxury. It's a luxury to have a nice car like this. So I get that. It's a luxury. So what's my point of the video? Not to sit here and brag. I'm not trying to brag about the things I have. I'm trying to teach my friends, my followers, my friends, you people, the people who take the time, that you invest time in your lives spending with me here on our little digital connection with each other. And I want you to be able to enjoy the things. Like I wish somebody had come to me when I was younger, threw their arm around me, a big brother, a father figure, and said, hey, dummy, here's what you got to do. You want these nice things? I mean, that Harley Davidson I bought in 2002, I thought back then I never dreamed I would ever have that bike. When I was a kid, I dreamed of having a bike like that. And when I bought it, I couldn't believe it. I never thought I would have a Rolls-Royce Phantom. I never thought I'd have any of these things. I never thought I'd be living in Las Vegas in $1 million house with a pool. Never dreamed. I got this house by trading up my other properties. Back when I bought that 2002 Harley, that was about the same time I bought a small little 1,000 square foot house in Fort Worth, Texas, in Haltom City. And then paid it off by making double payments in 5 years. And then moved up to a bigger house. And then a bigger house than that. And because I owned these other properties, gave me the loanability to buy this property. Now those other properties are worth 4 or 5 times what I paid for them. So now I could easily sell these other properties if I want to for, you know, like $1 million. It's all because of those flip ups. You gotta keep flipping up. Fold it over, flip it up. That's the secret. That's just how I did it. And that was the point of this video. By keeping costs down, I could have easily gone to any car lot in this town and picked up a brand new whatever I wanted. That's stupid money. Don't do it. We're coming in with this recession that we're not allowed to talk about. You're going to see used cars for sale on a level like you've never seen before. Now is the time to come up with some cash, and you'll be able to pick up something like this, something nice, for 10 grand or less all day long. You really don't need to spend more than $10,000 on just about any car. I gotta be honest. If you want something really nice, yeah, you can drop 20 grand, 30 grand. Now, if you absolutely need to have a big diesel truck for work, that's a different story. That's a completely different story. Okay? But let me ramble on about that. Of course, this was pre-pandemic. But when I went out looking at Denali Doolies, they wanted $100,000. I was like, get out of town. I bought a 2003 Ford Excursion with a 7.3 liter turbo diesel for $15,000. And that's the truck that I used to move here from Dallas, Texas to Las Vegas. I made a trip every week with a 32-foot trailer hauling 10,000 pounds back and forth with that truck. It paid for itself really fast. And I still have it. And it's worth twice as much as I paid for it. But if I'd have bought a $100,000 truck into that, I'd be losing money. Stupid money. Hey, prove me wrong. Go down in the comments and tell me your story. Maybe you did better than me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, if you are a fan, if I helped you, if I inspired you in any way, how you can pay me back is really simple. Press the like button on the video because it tells YouTube that you enjoyed the video and it helps recommend me. Post a comment. Tell me how you feel about it. And of course, subscribe for more videos, turn on your notifications if you want to be told about more, and share this to a friend that maybe is about to make a huge mistake in buying a car, or maybe to justify your argument with them. Those things help me tremendously. So that's how you can pay me back if you enjoyed this video. If you didn't agree with it, go into the comments and tell me why. I want to know. Anyway, thanks for hanging out and checking out my new 2011 Lexus Mommobile. This thing is so Karen, I want to speak to the manager right now. I never in a million years thought I would buy a Lexus. The yuppie mobile of all yuppie mobiles. But you know what? This thing is great. I love it. I'm not going to go into all the quirks and features of the car. You can let Doug DeMiro tell you all about it. There's plenty of people out there to show you what this car does. But this wasn't about the quirks and features of the car. It was about my life advice for you. I want you to enjoy the things that I do. Hey, I've rambled on for way too much. Catch you guys later. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to get out of here. Get some of this ice cold air conditioning going. See you guys later.